Okay, let's start.
Do we really have to?
Are you burned out?
No. Did ChatGPT tell you why you are burned out?
I know I'm burned out.
You're not.
I need to. I am running out of ways to cope with the everyday life.
Okay.
So with that,
Should we do something about that?
With that bombshell, let's start the thing and not consider burnout something that we can joke about.
Why not?
Because Galgenhumor is not something that people actually understand. So let's try to talk about burnout in a way that is positive, both positive and constructive.
I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that, but I'm going to try.
Yes. Okay. Let's roll the intro, please. Anyways.
This is going to be fun.
Anyways, so let's talk about burnout. Between you and me, you are the one who is completely currently unable to experience burnout.
Currently.
Yes, because for some reason you probably dropped into big vat of serotonin when you were younger.
Or maybe I was just dropped on my head or something.
Okay, but as Obelix was dropped in the potion, you dropped in the serotonin, so you are in a permanent state of being able to do everything all at once. And that sometimes is a problem for people around you, but we are not talking about you and me right now.
Why not?
We are talking about burnout, and we are talking about the state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. So
we're talking about you.
Yes, but we are also talking about all the other people who have this problem for different reasons. It could be perceived stress, it could be actual stress, it could be that people are just perceiving the stress differently depending on how they are mentally, what the mental composition looks like. Because I wouldn't say that they're mentally fit or unfit. Some people just experience stress in a different way. Or for some people, stress is different things.
Let's just preface something.
Yes.
Let's say that everything that we talk about today is not referencing anybody who has real mental problems with depression, stuff like that. We understand. And burnout for those types of people is a different category to what we are discussing today. I think we should establish that, otherwise we're going to get on very shaky ground, and I don't want to do that because, at least for me, that's not the intended use case for the episode. I'm much more into why do regular, healthy people experience these sorts of problems. Is that okay with you?
Yes, and I just decided that I need to put my microphone where the microphone should be, but not here.
Yeah. You're so very, very good at improvising.
Yes, so the thing is that, yes, we are going to be just talking about a regular burnout.
Yes.
Because we are aware...
we are not medical professionals, that's first.
First thing is we are not medical professionals, and we are... I'm going to say that I'm aware of how depression works and how depression looks like, and I'm not going to be dwelling into the experience of how somebody who has depression experiences burnout, because it is completely different than what regular burnout looks like. So let's not talk about mental states that are with different mental states that are adjacent to burnout, because everybody can experience burnout for some reason or the other, and for some people burnout is going to be let's not stop using the burnout. Let's start with stress.
Okay.
Stress is something that can be experienced by anybody for completely different reasons, and sometimes what is stressful for one person is fun for another person. Let's take, for example, any sport. Okay. I don't know, sports cars. Mm-hmm. For somebody, driving quickly and on the edge of crashing is fun. Mm-hmm. For somebody, this is the ultimate stress. Mm-hmm. Flying,
the same
thing. Swimming, hiking, mountaineering, everything. So everything can be a stressful thing or it can be a positive thing. It depends on the person. It depends on how the person thinks, what their fears are, how they perceive fears, how they perceive their environment. So we cannot say that the stress is something that is one unified thing.
No, but we should also say that we should focus on burnout in IT specifically. I think that that's our topic, and use everything else as just a side example. Is that okay?
Yes, because the IT is the same as any, I would say, stressful profession is the wrong thing to say.
Okay.
Because somebody would say, I don't know, being a pilot is stressful. Being an IT guy is stressful. Being I don't know, a surgeon is stressful. Being a lawyer is stressful. But there are people in those professions that can handle the stress immensely better than other people. And also, a lot of people inside those professions don't consider anything in their profession as stress because they are actually doing it day to day. And I'm halfway there. I have no problem with some of the things that are
Actually,
in
most.
the IT.
No, you're good with most.
Yes, but I have some problems with some of the more stressful things, but I have found how to cope with those.
Or you are on the either finding it or on the verge of finding it. It's a process.
One of the things, for example, one of the stressful things was when something breaks and you need to do something on production, or you need to do something that you wouldn't usually do because you don't have any way of reverting back the changes. And usually what I do back when I do this is I actually call somebody who I consider either smarter than me or as smart as me, because I want to go through the steps with somebody else. So I do teaming, and then I just deal with the problem. And this is one of those things where you face the stress by trying to do something creative and do something that is not a coping mechanism, but actually a solution.
We call that call a guy principle.
Yes, call a guy principle, or just it's called teaming usually. But the thing is that you are trying to use somebody to recheck what you're doing, and this has been a and this has been a long tradition in all the stressful environments.
Yes,
Second opinions, third opinions. So this is the reason why checklists exist, and so on and so on. But this is just part of the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is that sometimes you are in a stressful situation that is not as stressful as you think that it is, but you are pushed into it for so long that suddenly you become irritated. You have a problem with everybody else around you. You have a problem with the situation itself, although the situation itself is something that you are used to dealing with. And this is where the burnout comes in.
Okay, there's one other thing that there are many different types. I know I know an example of some of our colleagues. We have a colleague who is a very good professor in our university, who has at times competing things to do that are of same importance. Do the class or do the exam or something, and to program something. I want to use him as an example because he does this very well. How the method of alleviating stress. Basically, that's what I'm talking about now. He has two things that are equally as important to be done at the same time. He just calls the superior, in our case it's our chancellor, what used to be dean, and asks what is the priority. Then the dean tells him both of those things, and then he gets a response, I cannot do two things at once, pick one. And then the other is going to either come later, or we're going to offload that to somebody else. That's a very healthy way of managing your own stress and expectations.
Let's go through. I just asked ChatGPT to go through the most common causes for the burnout, because I wanted to reiterate something that we already know, and this is that the most common thing when it comes to working is that if you are unsure about something, and this is something that you need to decide on, but you don't feel like you are the person who should be deciding on this causes stress. And the example that you gave is probably the best way to deal with it, because you are not the person responsible for your priorities. If somebody else is going to give you assignments, so the person giving you assignments should be able to say, okay, these are the priorities. If they are unsure of the priorities, that's their problem, not yours. And from work-related causes, what came up first was excessive workload, which is completely
especially with tight deadlines.
yes, lack of control. When you cannot influence the decisions that are going to affect your tasks, but you need to get those tasks done. Insufficient rewards. When you perceive, and I say perceive, that you are not being
Valued enough.
paid enough, awarded enough, recognized enough, whatever, because rewards are not only the money. It can be the perception, I don't know, institutional, social rewards, whatever. Then unfair treatment.
Yep.
Experiencing and perceiving that you are experiencing something that is going to that you perceive as unfair. So, for example, you are working with a couple of guys, and somebody is getting paid more, or somebody gets promoted more than you, and you are both doing the same job. Then you start perceiving that you are doing a better job of him, or
Perceiving being the key word.
yes, but it's the burnout is also as in the episode with the imposter syndrome. The burnout comes from you. The burnout can be directly related to people around you because they are causing part of it, but your perception is the one that is causing the actual problem.
And your inability to stop and say no at times as well.
Yes, unclear expectations. So when somebody is actually trying to create an environment where you don't know what you can do, what your authority is, and what you cannot do, so where your authority ends. Also, mismatch in values when you're trying to do something, and dysfunctional workplace and dynamics being everything else combined. So having somebody who is too loud, having somebody who is an office bully, having somebody who is undermining everybody else. So
somebody who is too sensitive to anything.
It can be, yes. People being isolated because they don't fit into something, and it can be completely turned on its head. For example, I know that for some people, there are completely dysfunctional workplaces where, for example, a large part of the group in the workplace drinks, and they are not inviting some of the people because they are not fun drinkers, because they don't want to drink. And this creates stress in the people who are not drinking.
I've seen
which is completely reverse of what you would expect.
It's a berserk situation. I've seen that situation actually happen 6, 7, 8 months ago in our company as well, in some completely unrelated department to ours. Somebody complained about this to me. And the example that you gave, if you use it as a metaphor, is perfectly fine, of course. I was unable to fully understand why do people actually think about things like that.
Yes, but the thing is that if you perceive this as a problem, it becomes stress for you. Then you become more susceptible to actually experience burnout, because you don't want to go to work with those people because you don't feel good enough with them.
No, or you feel excluded.
And this is one of those completely contextual things that are at the same time insane and completely off any normal chart, but that create real problems for the workplace.
Okay.
Because you are creating problems so if the team drinks, the person who is actually the most capable of doing work is the one experiencing burnout. And this is for me insane, but this is how the human psyche works.
Yeah. Okay. You analyzed the reasons why it happens.
Yes.
I want to add something to that topic, which will be related to how that manifests. What happens as a result of the things that you were just saying, okay? So
yes.
That's logical next step. Read a couple of psychological journals and papers about this, and came out with a list of, 10, 15 different things that happen as a result of what you were saying. Feeling constantly overwhelmed by the volume of work and tight deadlines.
Okay, it could be true. You can also be working at the place that actually has tight deadlines. For example, magazines.
Magazines, yeah.
Or, for example, I don't know, piloting, surgery.
Yeah.
Because those are the places that actually have tight deadlines simply because
For a
they do.
reason.
Because they do.
Yeah, for a
Being a
reason.
firefighter means that should be available when you're available. You're available at any given moment. And you need to take this into consideration. This is one of those things where people are mentally screened for a reason. Because
Correct.
they need to be able to cope with this because this is the nature of the job.
Yeah.
Being burnout while being, I don't know, a policeman, a firefighter, whatever, is something that is expected. So people are preparing in advance how to deal with it and how to help other people deal with it because this is going to happen.
Yeah. Experiencing chronic fatigue and difficulty concentrating on tasks.
Okay.
Yeah, completely human manifestation of stress and burnout. You need to relax, you need to go on vacation. you need a little
I
bit of
for
time
one,
off.
can say that I am susceptible to this, and it happens to me more than often.
does.
Yes, and the problem is that I am now able to understand why is it happening, and then this is the time when I start to use the solutions. One of the solutions is to sleep better. I try to take longer sleeps, and then it takes usually a couple of weeks when I come back to being normal, being a person who is able to cope with the stresses, because I'm not in the loop that creates stress out of being unable to do something because I'm stressed, because I'm unable to sleep because I'm stressed. So you need to terminate the loop, and the easiest way to terminate the loop is to sleep.
There is one other way doing this, which I discovered in the past couple of years since C19, which is to take the time, if possible, to try to sleep at least shortly during the days when you have a little bit less stuff to do, especially for remote workers, for example, or you basically you have classes and there are days when you don't have to appear in the office. Sleeping for an hour after lunch or in the afternoon, stuff that Japanese do, that culture
Yes.
of that, started making a hell of a lot of sense to me. Actually, when I do lectures, if I do it from home, okay, remote to Zoom or whatever, we have a lunch break, let's say from noon to 1 p.m. I usually order lunch to arrive right at noon, so I eat quickly, 10 minutes, and not a lot, because it just gets in the way of delivering the class afterwards. So for 10 minutes, and then I sleep for 45 minutes. I've started feeling immensely better in terms of the chronic fatigue side of the things when I started applying that, which I know is not applicable to everybody, but it is sometimes.
But I'm going to say that it is applicable to most people, because what people are doing is...
you cannot say that it is, because if you're working 7 to 3, 8 to 4, 9 to 5 jobs, you just don't have the place or the space to do that.
Okay, but it's applicable to everybody, but not all people can actually cope with it that way.
Yeah.
Because when the thing that I learned is that if you are feeling sleepy, you should be going to sleep for at least 10 minutes, but not more than 20. I'm not for 45 minutes sleep.
So you mean Einstein theory of
Yes,
sleeping?
because I tried it. I tried it,
It
and
helps.
I know that if I need to get enough sleep not to get into the REM sleep. So I need to get the light sleep just to fall into sleep and then wake up again, and it helps immensely.
Yeah, I know. Tried it.
Some people say, okay, go drink coffee. No.
No.
1 cup of coffee is not going to help. You're going to be sleepy first. You're going to yawn. And this is going to be a big problem when you're doing lectures, because yawning during lectures is something that you shouldn't be doing. And just having 10 minutes of sleep or 15 minutes of sleep is enough.
Okay, next one. You're going to love this one. Becoming cynical or detached from work, colleagues, or clients.
Okay,
But having in mind that we both are, by definition, cynical.
okay, but as we said in one of the previous episode, userless is the best serverless. The thing is that
Non-existent translation.
Yes. The thing is that when it comes to IT, when it comes to dealing with a lot of stress, one of the worst things that we have to deal with is that something is going to break every day.
Yes.
All the systems are critical, and you need to make sense of all this mess and make it work, while at the same time not caring too much about it. And the problem with almost all the IT guys that are good that I know is that they care too much because they care about their systems. They care how the systems work. But you are also guilty of this.
I'm much more detached from these sorts of problems. I accept them and then I work on them with way less mental or emotional involvement, because I found that helps me.
I understood that what helps me is the backups.
Okay, I understand that as well.
The thing is,
I'm not talking about technology. I'm talking about the approach.
Yes, but the approach when creating good backups came into my life as a possibility, then I understood that I'm not caring for the rest of the system, because I can redo the system from backups. So it's just the matter of time. And when I'm able to do it, the problem is when you are combining IT systems with negative, let's call it negative management. So if your work in the IT sphere is limited by management decisions that limit your possibility to actually run the systems, this is what creates the biggest problem.
Yeah.
If you are able to design the system as it should be designed, with the budget that should be spent, I'm not talking about the infinite budget, but the budget that should be spent, because there is a minimal budget for a given task that needs to be spent in order to create a system that works. This difference between what you can actually do and what you should be doing is usually what creates the problem.
Discrepancy between those two things. I agree completely. Okay.
And it's easy to be satisfied with the system that you designed and that is running as you intended, with all the different safety mechanisms that you created. But if you are lacking any of those, you are going to become saturated quickly.
Okay. Neglecting self-care activities like exercise, proper nutrition, and sleep. This is something that a lot of IT people have in common. Both you and I do as well, different in different ways.
And this is part of the culture. This is one of the things where I need to say that younger IT guys like to say, okay, I can live on a diet of coffee, pizza, and Red Bull, and this is a huge problem because you can't. You can in the short term. You can if you're younger, but if you turn yourself into somebody who thinks that they can live on those three things, things are going to end well and bad.
Yeah.
And this is not going to be a nice way of you understanding that first the way your body works is different than what you think it does, and especially when you are older.
You know why oftentimes younger people do that?
Because they can.
No. Because they're trying to get other people to like them.
Okay.
Which is a topic unto itself, which you should never do.
Okay, but also because they can.
Yeah.
Because what you can do is you can work if you need to do some kind of binge working. So if you are younger, and so I don't know, 48 hours of work is something that you can actually do. You can binge work by just consuming caffeine and sugar. And this is something that you can do, but you can do it limited number of times in your lifetime. It drains you so much that you don't understand how much it drains you, and the recovery time is getting longer as you're getting older. And this is something that younger people don't understand, but they create the culture out of it.
Oh yes, yeah.
And this is we are partially to blame in this.
Yes.
Because when we are organizing, I don't know, hackathons, hacking nights and so on, usually we order pizza for everybody and there is some kind of energy drink that is supposed to be the sponsor or whatever for the hackathon.
What, should we have mushroom soup and vegetables and whatnot?
It would be much wiser.
Okay, I'm going to put your thought process to the test. Next month we have a hacking night. I'm going to propose to do that. If that doesn't get executed, I'm going to make sure that it does.
Let's do a comparison. Let's create two different sets of meals. Let's do one that is going to be to make it easier for everybody else, let's do it light Chinese. So rice with something, and then pizzas on the place, and then we create, I don't know, tea, coffee, and energy drinks, and see what is going to be drunk.
You want to make our hacking night attendees into bunnies and bunny rabbits? For
Yes,
testing.
and be testing.
I'm
yes.
loving it.
Yes,
I'm loving it.
Especially if they, it has been announced in advance.
It should, yeah. Okay, let's go. The next one. Using unhealthy coping mechanisms like coffee and alcohol consumption, you mentioned it, okay. Feeling irritable or impatient with colleagues or clients. Oh, yes.
Oh,
I
yes.
had actually, I had a very, very cool discussion about this topic in WhatsApp with one of my foreign clients today. We were coming up to the end of one of the projects that we assigned that we need to do in a very multi-year, very long-term relationship, which keeps on going. I'm doing some administrative work, and she told me that for all of the stuff that I've done, she really likes the fact that I'm sometimes very abrupt and short and irritable, and somebody who just speaks his mind and whatever. She said to me actually openly that she prefers me doing that because A, that helps her, and B, that helps the others to kind of get in line, which I don't necessarily agree with. It's just the way in which I cope with stress beforehand. So that's my mechanism to kind of try to solve some of the problems before they will start happening, because if I don't, they will, and then I'm going to get pissed off, just like every other human being would.
But the thing is that if you're dealing with people this way, this is not only you avoiding stress, but everybody else avoiding stress.
Yeah, I know. It's a management thing.
And it's a good cup, bad cup thing.
Yeah.
It works. The thing is that this works because if you are irritable enough for good enough reason, this doesn't mean that you are irritable. It just means that you are usually either short-tempered, or you are thinking things in advance and you don't want your time wasted.
Correct. And anybody else's by extension.
And being short-tempered in this particular case doesn't mean that you have a short temper.
Yeah.
It just means that you don't want your time wasted, and this is completely fine with me.
No. You know very well that I'm not short-tempered. I just can I can act it very well.
Yes, this is one of those things where people think that somebody's manipulating them when they're becoming basically a different guy. So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when it comes to the meetings, and the reason why some people do it is because they don't want to attend the meetings.
Yeah, you have the same experience as I do with many of the clients. Meetings are just, for the most part, a huge time waste for everybody.
The thing is that I stopped attending meetings that don't have a given agenda. And we
had a discussion about this over the years, and I agree with him. The meetings that don't have a set agenda is set in stone and very explained, and some of the things that should accompany that, I think you should avoid them at all costs.
And if a meeting has an agenda, there is going to be just reporting. So person A reporting on whatever, then person B reporting on whatever, then person C, and so on until you exhaust the alphabet.
Yes.
Those are also the meetings that I tend to ignore, because nothing is going to be solved by them.
For your job, you get nothing of value for that. It's just time waste.
We are going to be on the same page, but we can also put this thing on the page, and I can scroll to it, read the reports, and just be done with it.
Actually, over the years, we had many discussions about this, hence some of the things that I said over the past, 15, 16 months since we started doing this podcast. Oftentimes, because in the hierarchy of the organization, for the most part, he was like subordinate to me, which I don't care about, as he very well knows.
Yes, boss.
There he goes, sarcastic, cynical. But basically, I always try to shield him and everybody else working for my department from any unnecessary information, or especially these types of meetings, which I had to attend as a manager, and you didn't because you weren't one, which is to your credit, actually, so that you don't have to listen to some of the things that you're really not interested in.
This is one of those things where people consider me as somebody who doesn't like advancing in the company.
That's excellent.
There is an actual reason why I don't like advancement.
Yeah.
Because
Me neither.
I know what happens when you advance.
Yeah. You have to
suddenly
attend a lot of those things.
No, you suddenly stop working and start attending meetings.
Yeah.
And I have a few things to say against meetings, and a small number of things to say for the meetings. This is the one thing. And the other thing is that, from my perspective, I have yet to attend a meeting that was done, that was not operational, that was done in the office settings.
Okay.
The only meetings that were productive were done out of the office on the place where something needed to be done. So, I don't know, in the field, whatever the field was, or in the server room or wherever, when people were trying to just quickly organize things, and those people solve the problem, and those meetings were at most 50 minutes long. Every meeting that is scheduled for 3 hours, 3.5 hours in length
has no chance of
being a meeting. It's not a meeting; it's a conference.
Yeah, I agree. I'm completely with you on that.
It's a difference between attending a meeting that you can participate in via Teams or Zoom or whatever, and attending a YouTube stream.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly the reason, and he knows this. That's the reason why I always try to shield everybody from overwhelming amount of information that you just don't need, that offer no value to you, although he's still at times interested in information about those things, because at times he's a drama queen.
Yes, you need to know some information that are given in those meetings, because you need to troll people, and in order to be good at it, you need some information.
Yeah, that's his angle.
Because you cannot be
resident troll.
You cannot be
trolling enough.
No, you cannot communicate well enough if you don't have at least some facts. So in order to be able to communicate to the upper management, you need to have some facts, because you need something to start from.
Okay, the next one, you're going to find this one very, very familiar, not necessarily for you, or actually you will, more for me maybe. Having difficulty disconnecting from work, even during off hours or vacations. For me, this is the prime reason why burnout happens for a lot of people that I know.
But this happens for you also.
But I'm not burned out. I just get a little bit tired and irritable, a little bit. But you're usually self-correcting.
Yes, but you get awfully close to burnout every time semester ends.
Yeah.
But the reason why you do this is because you are wired differently.
No, I plan it differently.
Yes, but you're wired differently, because what triggers the burnout in you is that you know that you are this far from burning out, and you also know that you are this far from the end of the semester. So you're trying to leverage the last 3 or 4 days before everything goes to.
That's an algorithm that I found that works for me. Somebody can have a different one, of course, but yes, at the end of specifically at the end of the second semester is what you're talking about, not the first one, not the winter one, the spring one, when you get close to the, seaside vacation, whatnot. That's where usually my burnout is something that could happen. Before that, usually not so much. Although I do rage out at times on completely unrelated topics, but burnout as a keyword that's meant to explain a state, that usually happens to me right around my birthday, actually, in July. That's when I just want to finish the stuff that we need to do, the work that we need to do the grading, do the papers, do this, do that, administration, whatnot, and I just want to get the hell off the property and do anything else. For me, it's a binary distinction at times, and for me, it also works, because especially when I actually go to vacation, so when I go to the seaside, for the last, I don't know how many years, I don't think I've even turned on a laptop. Believe it or not, the only gadget that I use on the seaside is Kindle, and I used Switch, play games on when I'm sunbathing, whatnot. But another bit of trivia: I don't read IT or professional work-related stuff while I'm on vacation. No chance. No, just stuff that's completely in some opposite direction.
I know that I'm out of the burnout zone when I start using my computer again. So
Okay.
if I'm able to turn on my laptop and do something creative, it needn't be something that is work related. It can be writing something, trying to think of a prototype of something, or doing anything
Or the
on the computer.
application that you're working on right now.
Yes, this is although it is related to work. It's at the same time a thing that my brain likes as a way of relaxing.
It's a riddle for you.
Yes, because I haven't done a project for a while, and I haven't done something creative as a project for a while. Everything else that I have done in the last couple of years was directly related to me doing something. And creating a project that somebody else needs to do is something that I haven't done for a while, so it's just relaxing. It makes sense to me and it's relaxing.
That's why I have music.
Yes, I don't have the desk coping mechanism, so I need something like something else.
That's why we have rehearsals every Tuesdays. For me, since that started a couple of years ago, it's been actually 3 or 4 years now since we started doing that. I don't even need coping mechanisms anymore. It's just such a stress relief, although I don't really have a lot of stress at work, or I don't just perceive it as such. I usually feed off of stress. That's the difference. And usually, the harder you drive me, work related, the better I perform.
My yield strength is much less than yours. I have a problem with the stress is driving me, and then suddenly I just lose the ability of
Drop off.
and I have a big drop off. And this is where I actually say, okay, this is enough for me. And people around me don't expect it usually, so I have a problem. I have a problem,
No,
and
that's not a problem. That's normal behavior. I think for you, for normal average people, what you just described is how it should be.
just a side note: the ping you had just heard is not my phone. It's
No, I know.
no. It's the Apple ecosystem because the laptop decided to remind you of an SMS that my phone got. We need to acknowledge the outside sources.
If I was you, I would be burned out by the Apple ecosystem. Says somebody who uses Apple products every day.
Yes, the notification that follow you.
I don't want them to follow me.
Yes, I know.
It's the most irritating and useless function for me.
Okay. Anyways, so the
Look, I have a couple of
Yes?
additional ones if you want to comment on those. Let's see. Struggling to find work-life balance with work taking precedence over personal life. This is a problem that I think you've been coping with more than I have in the past couple of years. Realistically speaking, I'm not dissing anything, and I think it's a real problem, and we are actually working on solving those because unlike you, I have a little bit more time for reasons that are not necessary to explain right now, and the way in which our colleague, who is now our boss for the department, whatever, and me as an intermediary are trying to work the schedule out is so that we don't overburden you with the amount of crap that you have to do every single week, especially in at least one of the semesters. And I know you noticed it because the level of teaching hours that you did in this year is quite a substantial bit less than what you did last year. Although you don't feel like it because you took upon yourself to do extra classes which are not related to our work.
Okay, we are going to talk about the numbers later when it comes to that. But
I know the numbers because I've checked them.
Okay, great for you, not good for me. But I just want to say that this is one of those things where work and personal times are important. And I think that when it comes to burnout, I think that this is one of those problems with the IT and,
Yes.
and with the education when there is an actual problem. IT doesn't have work time. People expect you usually to work when they're not working because they don't want your work to affect their work. So everybody expects the IT guy to work during the work hours, to be there, and then do the actual work after work hours because nobody wants to be stopped by something that is happening.
Something not working.
Yes. So this is one of those things. Education has another set of problems because education is
No, it's just IT to the extreme.
no, the education has a problem because you're dealing with people. And people need to be educated, and sometimes they cannot do the education during the work hours, so they need to do it late in the evening.
And they need to learn how to not send emails at 11 p.m.
But okay, as I said, the emails at 11 p.m. are just suggestions. I'm just going to deal with them in the morning or whenever, if ever. In any case, the thing is that the education itself is something that can be done from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening, and our working hours are strange. This can
comes
be,
with the nature of the,
yes,
of the work that we do.
this can be a problem.
Yeah.
Also, working on every Saturday can be a problem, and this is the problem that is unsolvable.
No, I think that we've taken quite a few steps to solve
Yes, but it is unsolvable problem because we are just shifting it to somebody else.
Yeah, but those somebody else's are not our permanent employees. They are outside people who prefer working on Saturday. For example, Saturday is algorithmically a solvable problem, and next year it's not going to be a problem.
Oh, okay, but it exists as a problem.
Yeah,
because
no.
the IT
Specifics of the work.
Education doesn't stop on Saturday, and somebody needs to do it.
We have classes on Sunday as well. Not our classes, but we still have classes.
But the thing is that, as we were joking, the only time that we are not working or nobody's working is from 11 o'clock in the evening until 7 o'clock in the morning. Maybe we can push some classes at half the price.
It would be awesome
during
because
the night.
24 hours.
And I said that we should be pushing for classes at half the price. So if you are able to do your scheduled education during the night, you have the price of half price of the education.
And actually, I just want to discuss one more because I have loads more, but one more which is very important to me, and I found that one to be the most irritating, not the most irritating, the most impactful result of being burnout. And I've noticed you having these symptoms many times over. And again, this is not me scolding you. I understand, and it happens to me as well. Experiencing a decline in the quality of your work or productivity.
Yes.
This is something that's, in our particular case, both of us, it is something that happens to us as a result of burnout, I think most often of all of the things that we currently mentioned so far. And for me, it is by far the most worrying symptom of the stuff that we do, because at times, A, B, laser beam between them. We sometimes do things that way, although we have boatload of experience. So usually, even if we do that, it's 99% correct, which is good. But unlike your level of comfortableness with that, I'm not comfortable with that. For you, 99% is okay. And for many people, vast majority of the people. I have an example from a couple of weeks ago for that, actually. I employed your algorithm. 99% is enough. Again, not dissing on it. I did so I made a material for the lab for one of the educational problems that we do. Translated it. Went through it, didn't notice out of 27 pages of the lab, there were exactly 3 mistakes in it. 27 pages of densely written lab, by the way. It's not pictures, it's lab, it's text. And I can tell you that the attendees of the class specifically noticed those. One of them noticed all 3 of them, one of them noticed one of them, blah, blah, blah. In combination of those 25 people, let's say 15, 16 people, so like 2/3 or something like that, noticed at least 2 of those mistakes. And they were harping about it endlessly, And I mean, they're correct. Those mistakes shouldn't happen. It's just a wrong term. And if one of them actually said, yeah, but I understood what the mistake was. I just, bolded it in PDF, made a note. This shouldn't be Croatian term, it should be the English term, and everything works because all 3 mistakes were exactly the same thing. It's basically one mistake. When I do stuff like that, and that's for me the coping mechanism, both with related to stress and motivation and burnout and all of the stuff that we discussed. I usually beat myself to death because of those mistakes, and I try as hard as I can not to make them again. And as a result of it, also I try to fix them as soon as possible. Literally, the day after I heard that those mistakes were made, which was again a problem in communication because the assistant didn't tell me that it was somebody else, which shouldn't happen. It wasn't you, of course, so it was somebody else. Literally, when I heard about it, I was in my office in less than a minute. I was, doing coffee. It was early in the morning. I was in the office in a minute, correcting those 3 mistakes and publishing the new version of the lab with those mistakes corrected. Not good enough. Not perfect, but good enough. That's the metaphor that you were using in one of the previous episodes.
But the thing is that we need also to talk about something. I don't consider when there is a high workload. I don't consider this as a burnout, more as a saturation.
Okay.
Because this is the known problem. The pilots have it.
Yeah.
If the workload is high, you are more prone to make mistakes.
Correct.
It doesn't make you burned out. It's just the way your brain works. Your brain has a limited capability of being able to
perform on the same level.
Function, being able to perceive the data, being able to process the data, and being able to do some kind of outputs. So if you are, for example, you need to, look at 180 exams in 3 days. And then after this, you need to create something that is creative, a paper. You are not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And this is simply because your brain is unable to do it. It's not a problem. It's a thing. Mm-hmm. It is just a fact of life. You are unable to function.
Yeah. Leave it alone for a couple of days. And
yes, you are unable to function this intellectual level constantly for this number of days. So somebody who says that they are able to be concentrated on their work for, 12, 15, 30 days or so, are either lying or they have
lying to themselves, basically.
Or they have an unconscious way of dealing with, oversleeping, doing some other way of offloading their brain. And you soon realize that what they're usually doing is they're completely ignoring something else. Mm-hmm. So either they don't know anything about any of the news, they don't handle the groceries, they don't handle anything other than what they're doing.
Yeah.
So basically they're working and sleeping and doing and nothing else. And this is a problem because this completely shifts the work-life balance to the work in order for them to be able to do the work. And so this is not a burnout, this is saturation. This is where it
leads to burnout.
Yes, this is going to lead to burnout if somebody actually poses a question and says, okay, do you want to have a work-life balance? Mm-hmm. Some of those people don't have those kind of problems because they live alone. They don't have somebody to correct them. So they say, okay, it's completely normal to just take away food, work, sleep. That's it.
My basic idea behind mentioning the declined quality of work or productivity was actually related to another scenario, which is that at times you are already burned out and then you have to do something.
Yes.
This is a completely different scenario because as a result of that, again, you are even more prone to making mistakes, which is exactly what I did when I was doing the lab. I wasn't burned out. I was just pressed for time. That was the problem that I had on that particular situation. I don't make those mistakes often. That's good, actually. And oftentimes we kind of huddle together. You do a part of that. Our other colleague does a part of that. We kind of work as a group to try to kind of alleviate the stress out of everybody and to do work in parts, which actually leads to, after enough of iterations of doing that for years and years, this leads to a much more comfortable situation and higher quality of the product. In our case, lab work or the PowerPoint presentations or whatnot. God knows how many times I went through yours and you went through mine PowerPoint presentations and labs.
This is the way that we are dealing with one of the causes that I mentioned. So the dysfunctional workplace dynamics, because we have a workplace that is strange but has an amazing dynamics.
Yeah.
And this is what makes working easier, But
No,
also,
but we made that dynamics
Yes.
happen. That's the difference.
and this is one of those things where you actually can change the workplace in such a way that it helps you to avoid burnout, even though the burnout itself is going to be inevitable.
Yeah.
In the education field, the burnout itself is going to happen.
Yes.
It is going to happen.
People think that we have an easier time. You have no idea.
The problem is that usually the conferences are happening or being prepared while the workload is the biggest.
Yeah.
In order for a conference to happen in, I don't know, in June, it needs to be prepared right now. Right now is the time for the exams. Right now is the time for the grading and everything else. So these couple of weeks right now are the crucials when it comes to middle of the term workload for us. At the same time, we need to prepare for the conference because the conference itself needs to be ready when the
Deadlines again.
but the idea is that the conference needs to happen before the end of the semester. And also, this is going to be a time of high workload, and we are going to be attending the conference. So it's inevitable that we are going to be having problems with the amount of work that we need to do.
No, actually, to kind of return to a point of one of the previous episodes, I think that on average we are all a bunch of overachievers when you take into account everything that you just said. But I also think that we could do much better. It's not a comment related to me trying to force a better outcome from all of us. It's not that. I'm just aware that we can do better. That's it. It's an intellectual comment. Okay.
I'm inclined to say that you're right. On the other hand, I want to do different. I don't want to do better. I want to do different. My problem is that I hate repeating the same job once over and over again.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest problems for me. And I want to do different things. I want to be able to experience different things. This is the reason why I was in the journalism. Both you and me were the same thing. Because what happened there was that every day was different. Mm-hmm. And now the days are becoming much more similar to each other. And we need to find a way of coping with this.
That's why I've been heavily, I heavily burdened myself with doing all of these papers and whatnot, trying to editorialize, to try to help everybody in our office to get as much publishing done, because that for me that's alleviation of the repetitive nature of the other part of the work that we do, both lectures and labs and whatnot. So that helps me. I'm always trying to self-manage in a way, because of that, because I know it's just like you said, it just gets so bloody boring doing everything the same thing over and over again. But there's another thing to be said here, which is related to the quality of our work or productivity. That's the reason why we oftentimes we'll have to increase the frequency in which we change the materials. We have to work on the presentations and the labs and change them and whatnot. But also to learn new things as well, to upgrade.
Also, there is also one thing that relates to burnout that is inherent to the education environment. Some of the topics that we are covering are interesting. Some of the topics are the topics that we have covered for hundreds of times. Mm-hmm. And this is a problem that is created by us, because what we need to do, mm-hmm. and what we are actually able to do, is to try to make people who are listening to us feel like we are experiencing this for the first time. We need to have some sort of a positive outlook on the topic that we are dealing with.
Yeah.
And this is immensely emotionally hard. Because
it depends on the person, but yes.
Yes, but it's immensely emotionally hard. It depends on the person because we like what we do. So it's not as hard for us as it is for somebody else. But at the same time, it can make you feel dead inside, as they say, because you are... it's hard to start when it comes to Linux, for example. It's hard to fake being ecstatic about learning how to do the terminals, basic commands for the first time. So either you have it or you don't. You cannot say, okay, this is going to be amazing, and then say, okay, this is going to be amazing. Now let's open the terminal, because this is the problem that is going to you're going to be having to face, because people understand when you're not being sincere.
It's not only that, but you did it in a very direct way. Teachers have to be actors a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to feign that excitement and whatnot. I don't do it often. Luckily for me, I can actually put myself in a position of being a kid doing this for the first time. That's the mentality that I
Me
try
too,
to
but
emulate.
what I need to do is usually when I start the lecture, I overact. I tend to overact by being completely and utterly sarcastic, by saying,
Bonkers sarcastic.
yes, but it takes me maybe 10 or 15 seconds to say, okay, now let's pretend that like 30 years never happened, and now let's talk about Linux.
Sounds good to me.
And then people say, okay, what is this guy all about? And while they're thinking about it, I can
Start relaying the message.
Start relaying the message and start working on it. So basically what I do is I just deal with the problem by confusing the audience.
Yeah, that's good.
It
works.
Yes.
It works.
If it works, don't change it.
Yeah, of course, you never change a winning team. And for me, for example, what that always works, and I think you do it as well. I do something similar, but I usually combine it with trying to explain to the students in the first couple of minutes of the lecture, of the class, why it's important.
Sometimes I do it because I want to explain to me why it's important.
Because you're so bored out of your mind.
Yes, and then I make them face it. I make them understand that what I'm dealing with right now is talking to them for 100 times why this is important, while also thinking that this actually is important. So if I can explain to them for 100 times why it is important for me, then it should be important for them.
No, they're going to realize that it's important for them sooner or later. Usually later.
Yes, but it works. It works. It works as a way of coping mechanism, but also as a way of educational mechanism.
Oh, yes, I agree. That's
didactic trick.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah. Okay. You want to add something to the topic, or do you think we're done?
Let's just quickly touch on what personal traits are most commonly
present.
No, most commonly associated with burnout.
Okay.
So, to which common psychological or personal traits burnout happens more often?
Okay.
So the list is perfectionists, pessimists, in high achieving types.
I'm at least two out of those three in your eyes, correct?
Yes, and I'm at least at least one.
Yeah, well, I'll combine us together. You get all three.
The problem is that type A personality, high achieving personality, means being overly ambitious, aggressive, or competitive. I wouldn't consider myself being a high achieving type, but being competitive, yes. Being
not in a negative way.
Not in a negative way, but I know that I have a big problem with competitiveness when I was 7 years old or 8 years old, because I remember that I was actually warned for it by my teacher back then, because I had a colleague in my primary school, and both him and me were extremely competitive when it came to mathematics, and I think it's mathematics. And we were actually so competitive that it became a problem. We would solve the problems on the test and then shout out the results, because I was the first, so I shouted out the result, then he shouted the result, and this created the problem because everybody else heard the results from us. So I was warned that I shouldn't be so competitive. It has disappeared in part, but I have a competitive spirit in me.
Me too.
Because I have to. I wouldn't be what I am today without
Cannot survive in this world without it.
So this is just the thing that I wanted to say. I wanted to just mention what the personality traits are.
So the overachievers, what's the third one?
Pessimistics.
No, third one. That's the second one.
Perfectionists.
Perfectionists, okay.
So personally, overachiever is pessimistic.
Yeah, usually...
You're a cheerful one, so you're
one of the most common things that irritate people about me the most, but not necessarily in work, much more so in music. And you can have a chat about this with my drummer if you want, from my band. I usually irritate the death of him by asking for some small little niggles and details that are super important for whatever type of song we're doing. Usually when we have a break, he just starts screaming that I am just a perfectionist. In a way which at the same time he likes and irritates him at the same time. But there are things in life, and music is just one of them. I think most things in life that you're working on, that you are, in favor of, the things that you do, the things that you care about. I think you should you should strive to do them as perfectly as possible. 100% perfection is almost never doable. I'm aware of that fact. But the way in which I irritate him is just always so funny. You should get to our rehearsals to see that in action.
But there is a simple solution to this.
It doesn't need to be solved.
Yes, but there is a solution.
Which is what?
You just learn to play drums.
No. It's not about learning to play. He knows how to play. It's just about the little details that irritate the crap out of me that he does. And actually, everybody else in the band mind the same thing. But one of our colleagues is, after 10 years of telling him the same thing, just gave up, doesn't want to do it anymore. And the other two are so into, usually while we're doing the rehearsal, they're so into the song that they don't notice, but I do. I'm very in tune with the stuff that the rhythm section does. This is just one of those things, as you know. And usually when I start giving him the lecture about you did this, and that wrong, he just goes ballistic on me. And that's a part of the larger story and the metaphor about some other things, because people tend to overcomplicate things for no reason whatsoever. It's completely related to our topic and the previous one that we did as well in one of the previous episodes. There is no reason to overcomplicate, because vast majority of problems that we are trying to solve in the workplace are something that's, again, vast majority of them are solvable by simple solutions.
Sometimes simply by talking.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that people don't realize. Nothing is as important as health. This is the first thing. And every problem has a solution. And what you need to do is you need to communicate about the problem.
Yeah.
And
he's good at that.
The thing is that I realized this when I had a problem with some of the deadlines. And I said I was pushing myself to do something. I don't remember what was it. A couple of years ago, before I came to algebra. And I think it was something to do with me having to... I had to do something by a deadline, and this deadline was done... I think it was some award or something. I needed to turn in some paper, whatever. And then I realized that for all the other things that I need to do, I won't be able to meet that deadline, because I wouldn't be able to meet the deadline. And then I said, okay, first, is that the deadline important to me or the other people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if it's important to me, I need to find time to meet the deadline. If it's important to other people, they're going to wait for me for one day. So if they give me the deadline, it's going to be, I don't know, midnight on Tuesday. Wednesday, 7 o'clock in the morning is going to be for work fine, because they're not going to do anything during the night.
Yeah.
So if I just have a sleep for 7 or 8 hours and then meet the deadline, it's going to be completely fine. And then I realized, okay, you just need to solve your problems. If the deadline is for you and it's important to you, you're going to solve it. If it's important for everybody else but not for you, it's their problem. Just do the...
That is called Yasmin's School of Psychology, and at the same time it's Yasmin's less than linear time.
Yes, but the thing is, time is linear, and this is what is bothering me.
I know. You want time to not be linear. I know that.
No. I want the time to be divided by times of sleep, so that I can actually, the time doesn't run when I'm sleeping.
So arbitrary divided time by whatever priority.
Yes, because I want to be able to be functioning at my peak. So I need to be sleeping enough, and I don't want to think about some stuff while I'm sleeping, and then waking up in sweat. So I need to have my time off.
Can I let you in on a little secret?
Yes.
You're too lazy to operate at your best.
Yes. Okay. I'm fine with this. But this is my best.
I'm not.
This is my best.
Yeah, I'm not.
I
want to draw it out of you.
But the thing is that when I'm operating at my best, I'm most creative.
But you're never at your best because you're too lazy to operate at that level.
No, you haven't seen me operate at the best level.
Yeah, that's even better to know after 30 years of knowing you.
No. The problem is that we are in the wrong environment.
No, we're not.
We're in the wrong environment. The environment itself is oppressive. I'm being oppressed.
That's it. I knew it. I knew it that oppression is going to come sooner or later.
Yes, I had
So
to
now
do it.
for the good people listening to this, basically I'm oppressing you
No, I'm being oppressed. As such.
as such.
Yes.
But no source.
Passive oppression. Yes.
Passive oppression. That's excellent.
So
Okay.
on that
That's
thing,
less than
let's
bombshell.
let's less than bombshell. Let's that fizzle. Let's let's close this.
That was fun.
Let's close this episode. Thank you for being with us. This is Vedran,
This has been Yasmin, still is.
and bye bye, guys.
See you in the next episode.